Shalom. It says in the Gemara Sechet Sotah, whoever evaluates his ways in this world will merit to see the salvation of Hashem. As it says, he who prepares Sam Derech, Sam Lo Derech, I will show him God's salvation. What does it mean, prepares his way? Sam Lo Derech. Don't read Sam, rather Sham. He does an evaluation, like Shuma. Shuma is evaluation. So don't read it that he prepares his way, rather he evaluates his way. If you evaluate your way, do chashbon nefesh, then Hashem will give you, see the salvation of Hashem. So Ben Ish Chai says that you have to do chashbon nefesh, but ask yourself, am I as careful with my mitzvot as I am with my business? Do I take my hobbies, my spirituality as serious as I take my hobbies? He says that that's the way a person will be judged, but when a person makes them equal, a person takes them both serious, or at least spirituality more serious, then he'll see the salvation of Hashem. The Gemara Sechet Brachot learns that we have to pray together with your feet together, Amidah. Right? As it says, V'ragleim regel yeshara. Right? The Pasuk says in Ezekiel that their foot was a straight foot. It looked like they had one foot when they prayed. So the word regel, says the Ben Ayahu, Ben Yonadav, Ben Ish Chai, the regel is also related to hergel. Hergel is habit. He says that we have to know that in your prayers, your habits, and how you focus on your business, you focus on your watching the NBA game, you focus on whatever you're doing, the focus over there is uninterrupted. So the same thing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the habits you have to be the habits also by spirituality. You have to pay attention to our service of Hashem like we do to our business, do to our hobbies. And it says in the Gemara Sechet Sotah, B'schud what? How did the Jewish people cross the Jordan River? We learned in Sefer Yeshua that the Jewish people who came to the Jordan River, they had to get to Israel. How are they going to get across? So Moshe Rabbeinu told the Kohanim to bring the ark, and they walked a little bit into the water, and the water started piling up on one side. Instead of flowing, the water started piling up like a tower. And all the Jewish people were able to cross, and finally, at the end, the waters came back to flowing, and the Kohanim were carried by the ark. The ark lifted them up, and they floated across to the other side of the Jordan River. So the Gemara says that the Kohanim were carrying the ark, ended up being the water split. So in the splitting of the water before the Torah, there's a hint. It says the word Mayim is Gematria 90, right? Mem is 40, another Mem is 40, Yud is 10, so you have 90. He says when you split it in half, right? The Jordan River split in half. When you split it in half, you get 45. What's Gematria 45? Mem Hey. Also, yeah, Adam, also Mem Adam, and Ma is also 45. So he says when you take Mayim and split it in half, you get Ma, you get how or what. So he says what can mean great or small, as Mara Abu Ma'asech Hashem. How great is your deeds, Hashem? Or Ma Nahnu. When Aaron Moshe said, what are we? We are nothing. So Ma can mean great, or Ma can mean very low. So he says, to split the sea, for it to come close to Hashem, you need to split the Mayim. Mayim is chop it in half, Ma. You need to have Ma, that when we should feel that any material possessions we have, we acquire more than enough, and therefore we shouldn't waste more time on this, we have what we need. On the other hand, we have to always feel that our spirituality, it's not enough, right? You have to look at the person above you spiritually, and you have to look at the person beneath you physically. He doesn't have Baruch Hashem I have. He doesn't have this, Baruch Hashem I have this. But spiritually, I should always look at the person bigger than me and say, look at him, he's already coming early, and he does this, and he does that. I have to learn from him. So you have to break the Mayim into two parts. Ma, I have nothing spiritually, but at the same time, how great is my physicality I already have? He says, as a tzaddik, the Pasuk says, Ke'et shtatu al palge mayim. It says he's like a tree planted by the streams of water. What does it mean, streams of water? Peleg is splitting in half. It says tzaddikim, they're by the palge mayim, they're by the splitting of the water. They already chopped their mayim into half, and they have ma. And then it says that Kadosh Baruch Hu gets upset. He tells the accusers, leave man alone, in whose nostrils is a soul, for bema, for what is he accounted for? So you see, bema is the two mas, right? That's what gives us protection from the accusers. He says, and that's why Eretz Yisrael was given to the Jewish people on condition that what? They keep these 2 months. To always remember, look at the person beneath you physically and look at the person above you spiritually. So it says in the pasuk in Devarim, right? It says you shall consider with your heart, Shevota el levavecha, right? Let us do what the verse says the Ben Ish Hai, and look at the letters lev. If you take the letters lev and see what letters are with it or next to it in the aleph bet, right? So the letter next to bet is what? Aleph. Is the other way, gimel, right? And the letter next to lamed is mem. Next to lamed is mem. So he says together you get gam. And he says before lev, right? What's the letter before bet? Aleph. And what's the letter before lamed? Kaf. Right? It says ach only. So he says you have to look at the word lev. You have to look at gam and ach also and only. So the Gemara says that whenever you see ach in the Torah, right, it means to exclude something, right? Ach asher yochal nefesh, right? It says in pasuk by Yom Tov by Pesach that you're not allowed to do any melacha except for ochel nefesh. Except is like ach is an exclusion from this prohibition, right? And then gam is always coming to include. Gam also means also to include something else. So when it comes, the same idea. When it comes to spiritual matters, right, you have to look at yourself as ach. But when it comes to physical things, you have to look at gam. And that's the hint, what Hashem says, and you have to look into your heart. What does it mean look into your heart? In your heart you have 2 ventricles. You have the right side and left side. Right side has to be looking, what can I get more physically, spiritually? Left side have to say, no. What I have already physically is enough. So you see that the Torah is very, very into this idea that a person should feel that you have to have the balance. And a Jew has to be thinking 2 things at one time, We're always commanded to have 2 emotions. A person passes away, Has Shalom, right? You're very upset, you're very hurt, but you have to remember that he went to Olam Ha'emet. This world is temporary. And he fulfilled his purpose, and he went to his Creator, and that's where he's supposed to be. This was just a temporary place to do the job, to get the awareness of Hashem, and then go to enjoy the presence of Hashem over there. So a person, when he hears somebody pass away, he's very sad, but at the same time he has to have emunah. And the Ramban says you're not allowed to mourn too much. You mourn whatever it is, the 7 days, 30 days, 1 year, but a person ultimately has to know that this is where he's supposed to be, and we have to be happy and sad at the same time. It says in Pirkei Avot, Lo alecha melacha ligmor. It's not up to you to finish the work, but you're still not exempt from it. If you studied more Torah, you will be given more reward. No matter how much effort you put by ishtadlut, by business, at the end of the day, it's up to Hashem. A merchant can buy a lot of merchandise at a good price, but if nobody comes to buy, Hashem doesn't send you customers, so you won't make a profit, you won't make a dime. Right? You can work from morning to night. If Hashem doesn't bless you, so it amounts to nothing. So then why do you allow your work to take all your time? So he says, the Ben Ish Hai, you think maybe it's better to learn Torah all day. I'll just learn Torah all day. Everything else is a waste of time. He says, and leave your livelihood in the hands of Hashem. I'll open the door and an envelope will fall from the sky. He says, the Mishnah says, no. Lo alecha melacha ligmor. Don't leave work completely, right? You don't have to finish the work, but you can't leave it alone, right? And he says only what? People who are free from their yesara, like Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, what he used to do? He used to be in the cave, and Hashem made a tree planted all of a sudden next to his, and the water flowing next to his cave. Hashem provided everything for him. And Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says that that's what we're supposed to do. It says there's a mahloket, the Rishmael, and Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. It says Safta de Ganecha, you will bring in the grain. But what about Igita Bo Yom Balayla? It says Torah study day and night. So what do? Rav Shimon Bar Yochai says, don't worry. Study Torah day and night, and Hashem will send Goyim, will send somebody else to go and Asafta de Ganecha will bring in your grain, will do the work for you. But only if you're like a Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Rabbi Shmuel says, not everybody's on that level. Rabbi Shmuel says, no, you have to go to work. When you have free time, you learn Torah. The Gemara doesn't say who the halacha is like. The Gemara says many tried like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, they weren't successful. Many tried like Rabbi Shmuel, they were successful. So most people, they're on the level of Rabbi Shmuel. He says, however, the person has to know, the Pirkei Avot says, even though you do work, you should know, if you study more Torah, you'll be given reward. If you spend more time on Torah study than you do on work, you'll be greatly rewarded for doing so. I know people personally who go to work, maybe 11 to 2. Maybe they work 2-3 hours a day, 4 hours a day maximum. And the rest of the time they're busy with chesed, they're busy with community matters, they're busy with, Torah learning, they're busy with meeting with people, and they barely work. Why? Hashem gave him that bracha because he wants it. If he doesn't want it, if you just think limited in a box that this is the way 9 to 5 has to be, so then it will be 9 to 5 the rest of your life. But if you pray and you want more spirituality and you don't care, you'd realize that Hashem can give you whatever you need in that 9 to 5. He can give it to you in 11 to 2. So then Hashem can make it for you like that also. A person has to think bigger than he feels, and he has to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Kol Yachol. That's why the pasuk. That's what the Pirkei Avot says. Lo alecha legmor. Don't think that you have to work all day. Don't think you have to not only learn all day. Most people have to do a balance. The question is, how much is a balance? You decide. You decide how much is a balance. Some people, they can work very little. Hashem blesses them. They go to work. All the customers come at once. They finish all the customers for the day. They close the store. That's it. Over. I made the money for the day. But some people, they waste an hour here, an hour there. Then there's one customer came. Then 2 hours later, another customer came. I didn't do anything in between. And the whole day, how much time? Chop up how much time you really work. How much did you really work at the office? Maybe 2-3 hours I worked in the office. But you were there for 9 to 5. Yeah, it was schmoozing with this guy, looking for parking, putting ink in the printer, and then calling a phone call, schmoozing with my friend from Israel, and it wasn't really work. And what? So a person should pray, Hashem, cut out all that stuff, let me come, do the work, ushol, get out, and be able to learn Torah. Baruch Olam, amen.